Welcome to this podcast. My name is Filippa Levemark, and I created this show so that you can listen in on the sessions that I do in hope that you might benefit from it as well. Maybe you are going through something similar yourself, or perhaps someone close to you is. Either way, I hope that you gain some insight, maybe some new perspectives and tools that can help you in your growth and healing journey. In this episode, Emily is struggling with the fact that she is not, and perhaps will never be, a mother. Her deepest desire is to feel at peace with herself no matter what the future holds. So welcome to listen in on our conversation where Emily managed to transmute her pain and reach a place of peace. So, Emily, what would you like to talk about today? What's going on for you?
So what's going on is that I'm trying for a couple of years now and struggling to find a pathway to peace with the fact that motherhood is probably not going to be on the cards for me. I'm 34. I'm just about to turn 35, which is kind of a critical age for deciding whether motherhood will happen and be a priority or not. I don't have a whole lot of time left to start that. And my whole life, I always kind of assumed I would be a mother. I don't think that I have extremely maternal energy. It's not ever something that was like a burning, obsession, desire, as I've watched a lot of my friends go through, deeply yearning for motherhood. But I always kind of assumed that it would just be a part of my life. And then, yeah, a bunch of life happens. Then you wake up one day, you're in your mid-30s, and you realize you're not in a position to have kids. And I'm just working on accepting that and having peace with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors that are kind of working against me, and I just don't think it's going to happen. And yeah, for the most part, I kind of just I just try to not think about it. But if I do let myself think about it, if I do let myself access that maternal energy that I think most women have some shred of somewhere deep inside, if they really seek it out, then it's really painful for me. I really try to push that away. So I think, yeah, my goal is, like I said, to find the pathway towards making peace with my future, which doesn't involve biological motherhood. Yeah.
So sometimes when we go through experiences and there's pain left in the body, the pain is actually what is standing in the way for that peace. So if there is an expectation, like I want to be a mother, but there's pain for that not happening, then
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that motherhood won't happen, unless there's something, you can't have kids, which might be the case. But most importantly, this pain is in the way for the peace that you want to feel.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So is it okay for you if we explore this pain a little bit?
Yeah. It's really on the surface already.
Yeah.
Just
Great.
talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So where in your body do you feel this pain?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. I'd say it's between my heart and my stomach, kind of my
Good.
solar plexus.
Good.
Yeah.
And what is the sensation of this pain? How does it physically feel like in your...
Like tightness.
Mhm.
It almost makes me feel a bit like nauseous.
Good.
It's like a tightly wound ball in my solar plexus. Yeah.
Really good. So I'd like you to put the attention on this tension. You're doing really great, by the way. And what emotion is there in this ball of energy?
Sadness?
Is it okay if we feel a little bit of the sadness?
Making me cry already. It's really right there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So in this sadness, what does the sadness want from you, do you think, when you're feeling this?
What does it want? Oh God, I can't even talk to the sadness.
Okay.
I can't even communicate with it. It's so, my resistance to it is so strong
Okay.
because it's very painful for me to feel. Um,
So take a deep breath. And just when we are working with emotional energy, know that the pain is what we are resisting because it feels uncomfortable. But the only way to reach peace is on the other side of that pain. So if it's all right with you, can we go in a little bit, just a little bit, and feel this pain?
yeah, it's a slow process.
Yeah.
I think the sadness wants for forgiveness.
Okay. Yes.
Forgiveness for a lot of factors. Forgiveness for the mistakes that I've made in my life that have led me to this place of being in my 30s
Yeah.
without starting a family.
Yeah.
Forgiveness for the way of the world that puts me off of having kids. All the factors going on in the world, and it's not just forgiveness of myself, but forgiveness of the situation.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it asking you for forgiving it? Or what is it asking in terms of forgiveness?
It's asking me to kind of coexist with it,
Okay. Great.
to have space for it,
Yeah.
and to not try to deny it all the time.
Good. Excellent. So if you feel into this area again in the solar plexus, right?
Yeah.
What's going on right now there?
Feels like it's just swirling, like it's like a choppy.
Mhm.
The energy is very choppy.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So this
Very
energy
chaotic.
like is trying to reach your attention, and so far
Yeah.
it's almost like it's having, I need to forgive myself for, in your words, it's for the mistakes that you made. So for me, I'm interpreting that as if you need to forgive yourself. Does that ring true?
Completely, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So how can you forgive yourself?
I suppose I'm already on a road of being able to forgive myself.
Yeah.
Um, I can forgive myself by accepting that I did the best with what I had at the time
Mhm.
when I made some mistakes and I just didn't know any better. And um, yeah, self-forgiveness is one of the hardest things, isn't it? I think everyone struggles with that. We can forgive other people around us for horrible things, but when it comes to ourselves, that's really a challenge.
Yeah. So let's ask your higher self or your core, is it okay that I made mistakes in the past?
Of course. Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course it's okay.
Were they actually mistakes in the first place, or did I simply learn from them and they were actually opportunities to learn?
Yeah, of course they were opportunities.
Yeah.
If without those mistakes, I couldn't have been in the place I am in my life, which is otherwise a very wonderful place,
Yes.
except for
And
this
the
one.
growth, the growth wouldn't have happened without these mistakes.
No, definitely
So
not.
they were actually not mistakes.
You know, often what feels like the end is actually a beginning.
Exactly.
And that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. So can we go into the tension again?
Yeah.
What is going on right now there?
It's calming.
Mhm.
Still choppy.
Okay. So this choppiness, this energy, it wanted forgiveness, but we found that forgiveness, a part of you has nothing to forgive because there were no mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So what else is going on in this energy? What else does it want? This pain?
It's very complex when I reach into it.
Mhm. What's going on?
This pain compels me to look at like the wider picture in terms of I think about my mother and my grandmother and my great grandmother, all of these strong, incredible women. And I'm very sad and angry with myself that it stops at me. That that I would love a daughter to pass on that strength. And I feel like I'm letting down these generations of since the dawn of time. You know, if I don't have kids, then I have that chain of energy kind of stops with me, and I feel guilt for that.
So can we look a little bit into that
Yeah,
guilt or that the emotions that are going on? Because it's easy to be caught in a story, right?
yeah,
The story is I'm disappointing my ancestors,
yeah,
but that might not be true at all,
yeah,
right? And it might be a story that you have that has been passed on to you, or it might be
yeah,
yours. And it also might not be true because we never know what will happen in the future. Miracles happen, even with pregnancy and with everything. So we have a story and we believe that that story is true. And what I'm inviting you to look at is that all of this is just a story, but the pain is
yeah,
real. The story is,
yeah,
but the pain is real and the guilt is real. So let's look at the actual guilt.
yeah.
So where do you feel it in your body?
My
If you don't.
shoulders.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, the
Excellent.
weight.
The responsibility, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm getting lots of shivers. Don't know if you can see the camera, but this is energy, really good.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And let's put our attention in the shoulders, right? What kind of
Okay.
energy is this? What does it feel like?
The heavy energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a very negative energy.
Yes.
And
And what?
again, it all comes down to
So
this
what?
guilt energy, something to forgive, that's what it
Yeah.
all comes down to.
So what does the guilt say to you? What is the rawness of the guilt? Like I have failed, or I'm not a good
Yeah,
person, or you know, what is it
yeah,
saying?
the guilt says to me, like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just do the thing that everyone seems to do, that all of my friends are doing? Why
Yeah.
why can't you just do the thing and have a
Beautiful.
kid?
And do you know how the true self or your core, maybe not your highest self, but your core part of you, to have a part of you saying what's wrong with you? Do you know how harsh that is towards self?
That's horrible. That's such violence towards myself.
Yeah. And what does self do when you feel that way? When you get that, what's wrong with you towards yourself?
It
What happens
attacks.
in you?
I attack myself.
Yeah. And usually when we do that, we shut down and we
Yeah.
create tension, and our whole body becomes a shield,
Yeah.
right? So what is going on within you is an inner conflict. There's a part
Very
of you
much.
that is saying, what is wrong with me? And there's other part, like a smaller part that's like, there is nothing wrong with me. Why are you attacking me? Like, I am a
And there's a
good being,
yeah,
you know?
there's a part of me that wants to also protect myself from this nasty self
Yeah,
energy, this nasty self
yeah,
critique.
of course. So when we have what we can call disintegrated parts, because they're in conflict, the body goes through stress. So it is very, it could happen that this part, this guilt, is coming from your past. It can be created by you, and it can also be inherited. Because
Yeah.
if you're working with the mother lineage, which is, in a kind of way, what's wrong with me? If that's a pattern that goes in there, maybe your mother had the same and your grandmother had the same, and then they're passing it
Yeah.
on, right? And
Yeah.
in our generation, we are the ones who are dealing with the trauma because the
Yeah.
past they couldn't. So actually, it's you are actually cleaning your lineage, even though
Yeah.
part of you feels that you're failing your lineage. No, you're cleaning it.
Because I think our generation is one of the first ones to really stop and think through what it means to have kids. Whereas I think most or many people, at least even in our parents' generation, they just did it. My mom had her first kid at 19 and she
Yeah,
kept having kids until she was 30, you know. She just never stopped to think that there was an option. And um I think, yeah, in our generation it's very different, you know, and that creates a lot of conflict, I suppose, especially if the situation I grew up in was that my mother, my grandmother, for them having kids was like the highest calling in life, which I think is amazing. That's so noble and so selfless. They gave everything of themselves to be mothers and
yeah,
grandmothers. They everything. And that's just not my way.
yeah,
And but I've been inundated since birth of my value as a woman is in motherhood. My value as a woman is in motherhood. So okay, if I don't reach motherhood, then what's my value as a woman? And of course, my deepest self knows my value lies in so many things, right? I live an amazing life, but and the truth is I don't feel lack from not having a child. But there's something this deep ingrained, as you
yeah,
say, this inherited pressure
yeah.
that I just can't shake.
Yes,
And that's this weight, this energy of weight on my shoulders.
yes. So how beautiful that you are looking at motherhood from a conscious perspective, which didn't
Yeah.
happen in the generations before you,
No,
and also that you're recognizing that the higher part of you doesn't have an issue, doesn't have
it
an issue with
doesn't.
it, right? So in one way there's no problem, right? But then there's the human part of you and uh, the energy part of you, the emotional part of you, which is still affected by the story, what's wrong with me, right?
Yeah.
And if what's wrong with me is the core belief, then combined with my value is only within motherhood,
Yeah.
then of course both of those are quite a uh, harsh voice towards self, which is like, I
Yeah.
have no value unless I have kids. And what's wrong with me for not being able or not having kids,
Yeah.
right? And neither of these are your true self, but they're creating conflict within you. So this feeling of not being able to shake it off, let's look at that, because you are able to shake it off because you are the part of your lineage healing these things, and it wouldn't happen in any other way than this.
No.
If you would have had kids when you were 20, you would continue the lineage in an unconscious way. Does that make sense? So you not having kids
Yeah.
serves a purpose uh, in this time and space for that. At least that's how I see it. I don't want to say this is how it is, but this is how I see
I
it.
think no, I think it's very accurate. I think in some ways that my moment for having kids is past, because when I was in my early 20s and in various relationships, I was like, oh, I'll just have a kid without ever really thinking it through, And
Yeah.
now that I'm older and wiser and really thinking it through, and also watching all of my friends go through motherhood and seeing that it's beautiful but incredibly difficult and really taxing, I'm able to stop and say, okay, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. And um yeah, so it's almost, yeah, it is a very conscious approach when I'm,
Yeah.
you know,
And I
going
just
into
want to
it.
comment as well that, you can have kids up until you're maybe mid-40s.
Yeah, true.
It's definitely not too late, but it's not relevant
Yeah,
for what's going on with you right now.
yeah, yeah,
What's relevant is all the tension and all the parts of you that are working against yourself. And
yeah,
you can't have peace until they're integrated.
yeah,
And from an integrated place, all the stories around childhood, having not around childhood, motherhood, and all the stories around that, you can come from a completely conscious place further on and then decide what to do with that, right?
yeah,
But right now, so it's not true that you can't have kids later, or
yeah,
whatever, right? I mean,
true.
we never know.
With my circumstances, it's a little bit more complicated, but yeah, it's certainly, I have seen friends in their early 40s getting pregnant, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
there could be time, I suppose. Yeah.
Let's leave that for the future to unfold, because
Yeah.
either way, you wouldn't want to go into your life with all the tension and live
No,
another 10 years with tension,
definitely not.
even if if things change. Okay, so let's look at this in the shoulder, because when you connected to it, there was resonance in my body. And usually
Okay.
that resonance means you're speaking true, right? There's a true belief there around things, right?
Yeah.
And simply by giving our attention to the pain, it can dissipate. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we look at this guilt and this energy on your shoulders, what's going on for you there right now?
I suppose just acknowledging it helps lighten it already.
Hmm.
Just noticing it, aware.
Yeah.
And I also see somehow, just I had a clear sort of vision that every day it's almost like I wake up and I put that weight on my own shoulders
Yeah.
every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing it.
Especially at this point in my life where it's a decision making, like a hinge point, mid 30s to mid 40s. I feel that
And
I'm picking this up and putting it on.
yeah, and just to give you an image, imagine that voice is another person, and see it from the outside. See it as a person going to you or to another part, and just saying like, what's wrong with you, and your value is only in motherhood. Oh, hang on, I lost you. Are you there now?
Up, I can hear you. It looks like I have full signal.
Okay, good. I can hear you
Yeah,
now
I'm
too.
here.
Okay. So before it broke off, what I was speaking about was, imagine that
Yes.
you have one or two people standing at your side and just saying, why can't you do this? Or you are responsible for this lineage, or what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Your value lies only in motherhood. And imagine that when you wake up, that they just stand there and say that to you. And anyone from the outside would look at that situation and be like, that's not a good environment internally to be in, because it's abusive, right?
Of course.
And
Of
it's not true. So
course.
the only reason that you're listening to those voices is because somehow you believe that that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at
Yeah, of course.
let's speak to the energies again. So just look at the shoulders and that kind of feeling of responsibility.
Yeah.
And what is going on right now there?
I feel like an internal pushback against this energy. Like I want it to go away.
Yeah.
Like I feel a little bit of a defense field. Just naming it
Yeah.
allows my defense field to turn on, and I feel that my energy is trying to push back against those voices.
Yeah. And there's a reason why you created these voices. And usually it's not to create harm, even though right now that's what they're doing. But usually they're created because they're trying to protect you from feeling pain. Right? So the part of you that says, what's wrong with me is trying to get you to a place where things are right with you, so you don't have to feel pain of being wrong.
Oh
And
wow, I would have never thought of it that way, but that does make sense.
yeah. And the other part of you that's saying my only value lies in motherhood, so therefore I want to be a mother, is trying to get you to a place where you're a mother so that you feel valued. And so it's harmful when it's coming against you, but it's actually trying to make you feel valued.
And that completely checks out because these voices are really my mother and my grandmother for whom motherhood was their biggest calling in life. So
Yeah.
they're trying to love me
Yeah.
and give me that best thing by instilling in me this drive to become a mother. And I can see that those voices have been saying it with their own love and their own agenda, but they don't mean harm.
Yeah. Oh my
They're
goodness,
just
I'm
trying to make sure
getting
that I can experience.
yeah. And I'm just getting shivers and lots of emotions coming up in me because this is, what's going on in you. This is true, right? So
Yeah,
they don't want you harm.
100%.
They don't want you harm, and
Yeah,
they never wanted to put you through this. They just wanted
yeah,
you to be happy because that's what made them happy.
yeah, yeah.
And they felt valued through motherhood. So they believe that you will feel valued through motherhood, and they want you to feel valued.
Wow. Hi,
Sorry,
I'm sorry. I don't know what's up with my connection. I'm so sorry.
no, it's okay. Just say
Yeah,
that last sentence again because you were cut
yeah,
off.
yeah. So, I mean, I never really thought about it like this, but this is so helpful because this allows me to see the love that was placed in that energy when they passed it on to me. Although I've been receiving it as guilt and
Yeah,
negative energy, there was that gives me an opportunity to take away from that the love that was in the energy
yeah,
as they push those ideas onto me, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. And you internalized it, but from the wrong place, right? And now
Yeah,
that you're conscious about it, these voices can be met with love. They're not your enemy,
yeah,
but they're not your ruler either. They don't decide over you, and they're not true, but they're coming from your ancestry,
yeah.
and they just want the best for you.
Ugh, I feel like I'm getting a hug from my mom and my grandma right now when I really
Yeah,
sort through that energy. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I felt too when
yeah,
when that clicked for you. It was like they were standing beside you, and they were just like,
yeah.
this is true for us. We don't want you to suffer in this.
That
That's
makes me
never.
emotional because that feels very true right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like they're here with me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, beautiful. So how do you feel now with the tension in the shoulders?
I feel like I sit up a little bit taller.
Yeah.
I mean, the tension's still there, but
So let's explore a little bit the tension if it's still there. What's going
yeah,
on there now?
I think it's I think it's, going to be a process of me speaking back to that tension every time I feel it.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think it's something that's going to disappear, overnight. It's like I'm going to have to open a dialogue
yeah,
with that energy and
yeah,
that tension every time I notice it, and instead of pushing it away,
yeah,
I want to address it and speak to it.
yeah. And that is a mature way of dealing with your
Did I lose
inner.
you again?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry, I keep losing you.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happened with my internet connection now.
it's okay. Sometimes I don't know if it's relevant, but sometimes when we work with energy, the connection, like the electricity
Eh,
shuts down because we're working with
crazy, right when it's the highest.
yeah, because electricity, you
Yeah,
have electricity in your body, and right now you're releasing things. Otherwise, we wouldn't get
yeah.
the effects, and so sometimes that shuts off connection. It could be that, or it could be something else.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
because it
So
was so well.
yeah. But now I can
Yeah.
hear you again. So it's a very mature perspective that you're having right now, which is you're going to create a relationship with the parts of you that you were in conflict with, and you can speak to them right now. You can release tension right now. But what is more valuable is that you have tools so that you can do it whenever it comes up.
Yeah.
And knowing that this is from mother and grandmother, then it's also be easier to speak to them, right? To speak to these parts.
Yeah, it gives them a face and a name and a voice and a history.
Yeah. And how do you feel? You had the tension and the pain in the solar plexus. How does it feel right now there?
Feels a lot better. It feels I'm getting this energy from my belly of like, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you
get
for
shivers again. Yeah.
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 I get a strong feeling of like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to me. Thank you for hearing me. I've
Yeah.
been trying to get your attention for years now. I feel like I could breathe a little bit deeper.
Beautiful. So what
Yeah.
is essentially happening, right, is you are connecting to yourself. You're listening to yourself. You're giving yourself the attention. You are with a loving energy meeting the different voices. And guess what? That is a healthy relationship to self. And that's where you find peace.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
I'm
think this
feeling
is
that.
a natural place to end the conversation. How do you feel about it? Do you have anything else?
I feel really peaceful. I wasn't expecting to so thoroughly work through these energies just in one discussion. So I'm quite happy. Yeah.
It's not, we make things overcomplicated. It's
Yeah, we do.
consciousness is so much more simpler than we think.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to take
Yeah.
years of therapy. No, it needs your attention.
Yeah. Because I've been to years of therapy
Yeah.
and never have I been able to speak to the different energies like that,
Yeah. And that's why, for me, it's
Yeah.
important to do this kind of work, because everyone needs to learn how to relate to themselves,
Yeah.
because that's the only healing tool we need.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to walk me through this today.
Thank you so much for showing up and also being vulnerable and sharing with everyone else who will listen.
Vulnerability is the only way to find healing, I think. Vulnerability with yourself, and if you can find people that you trust to be vulnerable with, that's immensely healing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's because we are in our truth, right? So vulnerability is to be in truth. And when we are in truth, we are in alignment. And only in truth can healing happen. Okay. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you,
Okay, bye.
Philippa. You too.
Thanks for listening to this show. If you're interested in working with me, either through a similar session like this in a longer container, or if you want to come to any of my local events in Malaga in Spain, you can click the links in the show notes or go to my website, filippalevermark.com, to find out more.